Welcome to the Rebel Rebel. Today's episode is brought to you by, me. Visit michaeldargie.com to order a copy of my book, Brand Jitsu, Move Your Brand from Meh to Memorable. And while you're there, check out the cool tools I built. There's one to help build your annual marketing plan in minutes, not weeks. There's an online course about how to get your brand export ready. And while you're there, don't forget to join my monthly newsletter, chock full of other cool and weird people and stuff. The Rebel Rebel is a podcast for creative rebels and entrepreneurs who think audaciously and act courageously in service of making the world a better and more interesting place. Vancouver author and indie publisher Corey Croft is here to talk about writing as therapy, shrinking the ego, and staying authentic in a world that wants to sand off your edges. This is a conversation about discipline, depression, creativity, and why freaks make the world more interesting. Welcome to the Rebel Rebel. I'm your host, Michael Dargie, and somewhere across the world from me, we're going to find out where. Please welcome to the show, Corey Croft. Corey, how the heck are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking. Just enjoying a nice balmy 8 degrees with pretty strong current of rain out there in Vancouver.
Very nice. I'm just like checking. I'm also 8 degrees and it's sunny but windy here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Okay, so Corey, just to catch people up, okay, I've been looking forward to this interview for quite a while, since you first sort of crossed my bow. So I'm just like, here's this independent author and publisher. And I mean, I've seen a lot of independent authors. There's lots of people out there doing that, but I've never really I don't think I've ever run into an independent publisher, like somebody who just took it to the next level. Mm-hmm. So I just want to, catch us up on what it is that you're up to right now. And then we'll go back in time to figure out what made you this way.
Absolutely. Good luck. So right now I'm an independent author. I have a new book coming out called France versus Brazil in 98, which is it's a hard one to describe. I'd call it it's a literary fiction, definitely with an existential slant. So my look at every book that I kind of make has these different influences about it, just kind of whatever speaks to you at the time and however the book wants to be written. So I would liken it to something by like Camus or like Sartre, like in that vein of pondering existence, finding meaning, driving purpose. So that comes out January 20th. It's a novella. It's not too scary, not too big. And that's coming out under Fly Pelican Press, which is that little boutique, if you want to call it, publishing house
nice.
that I own and operate.
Love it. Okay. So let's just, dial this in. Where can people find this and learn more about you and buy books?
Sure. So to buy them, the best place I always try to funnel people, unfortunately, is Amazon, because they have the best algorithms. They have the print on demand. You can do it's quite easy to navigate and not too expensive on the consumer. And also they get a little jealous when you try and sell ebooks through other ways. So ebook is exclusively on Amazon. The print is available in different places. Okay. To find out about me, there's 2 main ways. There's my website, which is coreycroftauthor.com. That's kind of going to have some poetry, some information about my other books, and just some, cute little, paragraphs about the author and company. Yeah. And then same name, Corey Croft Author. That's my Instagram account, and that's where I do most of my. That's where I do exclusively all my social media.
Oh, good. Okay, so yeah, interesting. So you chose one place, and is that by design? Is that because keeping up with multiple platforms is ridiculous? Like, tell me about that.
Well. That's the one. So I was working with a guy, like a pal of mine back in the day. He's like, "Oh, you got to get on this Instagram thing." And I was like, "I think I have an account." And it was just like some pictures of like just random nonsense. I didn't really understand it. So I went with that one. And then I don't understand Facebook. I haven't used it for years. I know my stuff uploads there, but like it's over my head. And TikTok, I spent like a few hot seconds trying to upload stuff there, and it was one of those few moments when you kind of, sit back and like, oh, I'm old. Yeah. Or like just not cool or not hip, you know what I mean? So
you kids, get off my lawn.
Yeah, so now I have about the time and almost the energy to focus on one thing,
Uh-huh.
and that's the one because I can. Otherwise, like I'd lose my head.
Oh, yeah, it's fair. It's totally fair. Let's go back in time. And what on earth happened to you that made you an author? You poor guy.
Okay. Well, the I would say like the genesis of like wanting to write came when I was in undergrad, and I would just get random ideas, and then I would think, oh, that'd be cool. I should write a book one day when I have time. When I have time.
Yeah.
And I'd get these ideas, and I'd never write them down. But like you're in your university age, your undergrad age, and you're just like, oh, I'm brilliant. Like I'm one of the people that's going to change the world. I didn't necessarily think that, but the first part I did. So I was like, when I have time, and then the ideas would keep coming, and then I would just be like, when I have time, when I have time. And I realized one day when I was on a day off, when I was just kind of like digesting lunch, watching probably YouTube, that you always have time. You just have to make it. Like what I'm doing right now, just sitting down, doing nothing. That's time. What am I doing? Was time on the couch is time. Anything you can convert into usable time.
Yeah.
So that coincided with a real, um, I guess, like a point of difficulty in my life, like a lot of depression and anxiety. Um, to the point where like therapy was becoming cool. Like it was this thing that it wasn't just like, people with straight jackets were given with a clipboard. So
Yeah.
the woman I was dating at the time, she's like, well, maybe you should go talk to somebody, and I've learned that's a different way of saying like, can you stop bothering me with this? Can you go to somebody else who you're paying to like listen to you, right? So I'd go to a couple therapists because they're like, oh,
Yeah.
first one's free. And then I realized like, oh, they're just going to start asking me about my childhood.
Right.
Like, I have a problem now. So what's the good that going to do? So
Yeah.
I saw that it was International Writing Month last month. And I was like, it's then like the goal was that it was just like a weird ad and like on a board, with a couple tacks. And I looked at it, I was like, write 1,000 words a day for a month. I'm like,
Is that like NaNoWriMo or is that
it was
different?
just like on a community bulletin board,
Oh,
and I
okay.
was just kind of like letting my eyes, like those old 3D pictures, you just let your eyes unslap
Right.
and you see stuff. It was kind of like that. I think I was just like wandering the halls of some community center, something, a ghost. And so I just looked at that and I was like, I could do that. Like, that's a good way to get started in those stories you always had. And, I did. And like, I sat down to do it the first time and I had nothing. I was like, well, what, come on, smart guy. This is years removed and a lot of like, the color jade really being, it's painted on my soul. So I was like, oh, you see, you're an idiot. You can't do nothing. But then I made myself do the 1,000 words and they got easier and easier every day to the point where like I had to stop myself. And I started noticing as time went on, like the first book that I wrote is not the first book that was published, but it ended up becoming a novel and one that I really loved because I just, instead of like talking to a therapist, like I just started writing things. And then this is where, actual, like that, I think something special in you comes out where it's like, this isn't just like a bunch of like pissing and moaning or just like some, guy screaming at clouds. This is like something that I can use a narrative to, wrap around to make a cocoon to entomb, and then we're going to let something beautiful out as the story progresses.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time working on that sucker, a lot of errors. It was like hundreds of thousands of words and then pared down to like maybe 100,000, 120. But it was like a learning experience. And so writing for me became therapy, I suppose you'd say. And I can see that I know and I can feel the differences in my personality and my day to day life. Not even just this fact that I now isolate moments of the day to write, but also just like the kind of person I am, the man that I've become. I owe exclusively to digging inside into the difficult parts and to, you taking the pumice stone and going against those traumatic moments and the tragedies that we all face and learning from them and like, opening them up. You know?
Wow. That's awesome. Holy shit. Um, who's one of your favorite authors?
Well, I can tell you, I have quite a few, but the author that got me into writing, like the one that kind of pushed me further to be like, okay, this is why I want to write. Like things, there's influences that make us do something or that change us, like provide like a southern wind into our sails, make us be like, oh, I want to do this kind of thing. But
Yeah.
the author that got me, like that absolutely, touched me into the soul was Dostoevsky. And that book was Crime and Punishment. And I was reading it on a megabus going from Montreal to Toronto. And there was just like, that was the moment when I realized, like, that was the moment when I stopped looking at things and let things kind of like permeate into me and touch my heart.
Wow. Holy shit. Okay. Do you have a favorite time of day to write? Do you
Yeah.
find that your muse happens at the best time?
I treat it like I read, what was it? I think it was Stephen King's On Writing book.
On writing?
Yeah. So I really took in some of those lessons. So I treat writing like a job. So for me, like on the days that I have to work, because I work nights,
Yeah.
I will tend to get up and do the morning routine, train and whatnot, and then come home, shower, put on a pair of pants, make sure you're always fully dressed when you sit down to work. Right? You don't just go to work, with, your burger. So like I tend to come back and then start like I'll prepare food, and then so I'll break for lunch, and then I'll keep working, and then I'll go to work, or I'll treat it like a 8-hour work day on my days off.
Oh, wow.
Same kind of thing. Lunch break and that kind of stuff. But so usually during the day, because it burns me out, and by the night, I have about the same attention span and spinal cord as a jellyfish. So I'm just if anyone wants to have any serious conversations, it's probably just going to end up, like poking a blob with a stick, But I also really like writing at night. If I get the opportunity, something happens and like, it's fun. It almost feels like rebellious to just like, how long is this going to last? Are we going to be up till 4 a.m?
Oh, that's fun. Holy shit. I don't know, just out of curiosity, is there like a writing trope that you just hate, that you're just, every time you see it, you're just like, oh, come on, we can do better than this?
There's a few. Like I got a couple. I hate it when, okay. So thus far, anytime I've written a novel or something with serious stakes, not just like, a fun short story or an absurd little piece, my main characters are always men. They don't have to have any, I oftentimes like withholding ethnic and age and describe traits from the audience. Like it's just, this character exists, fill them with what you want.
I love that. Yeah.
I not refuse. I just haven't found the proper way to write a female lead character for a couple reasons. One, because I feel like a lady could do that better than me, more genuine, more authentic. It's their voice. Yeah. And two, because a lot of the times when women write men and men write women, probably more so, it just comes off as so base and just and superficial almost too. Like I read a book by an author who I really love, who had a female lead. It was a female lead, protagonist. But if I was I was reading it as like a pretty open-minded, fella. But if I was a lady reading that, I'd be like, come on, grandpa. Like, is that really what you think we do?
Oh my God.
So I feel like trying to like just create a character or a character or a situation that you don't really have firsthand experience it can be good, but it can also end up just you can taste the lack of authenticity in it, and it's just like, you could have made this something else. You could have made it more even. You could have been more indifferent or not given so much light to, I don't know, like certain things that stereotypical things that men and women do have and think,
Yeah. I hate it when I start reading something and they describe like a woman's physical beauty first.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Like, and I see that in a lot of scripts too. Like, uh, Diane was a blonde bombshell, 34, 20, whatever. And, when she walked in the room, all eyes stared at her, sexuality dripped off her, like all this shit. I'm just like, we can do better.
I I was
People,
having
come
a
on.
conversation with a homeboy of mine, and he's like, he's a black dude, and he's just like, why are we always candy? Why are we always flavors? Like, why can't it just be like, so this, had the base of a tree, why is it always got to be chocolate or caramel, dulce de leche, arequipa, that kind of thing, right? Which is true.
Sure, yeah.
And the other thing, but here's the thing though, is like I have two rules. One is that if I'm going to describe, I used to have this penchant, I used to have this bad habit. And my mom called me on it because she reads a lot of my work. She's like, I love how you describe things, but sometimes like I don't need to know like, taste, touch, smell, like all this stuff.
Mm,
So she was dead right. So what I started doing was picking. Sometimes you need to like give everyone the universal or holistic kind of
sure.
sense, but sometimes you can get away with using one, maybe two sense, like how did it feel, how did it touch, like what was the air like, was it heavy, what did it smell? You don't need to say that, like, and you don't need to talk about the sconces all the time. To some, give one feature that kind of demonstrates what you're trying to say, is to show, not tell.
Yeah,
That being said, I love the way some authors tell. Like they're
sure.
just so cool. They have such a swag about them. They're just
Yeah,
like, they're style monsters.
yeah,
So with those, when you think that when you confidently can say like, I can tell this in a way that is captivating, go for it. Take the risk, because
yeah.
otherwise you're just going to have a whole bunch of people chattering their teeth the whole book just to show you that it's cold. Sometimes you just got to say, it's cold, or like
Sure.
certain things. Yeah, sometimes blunt is great.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, I was going to ask, like, it doesn't have to be that lesson, but aspiring writers,
Hmm.
what would be your on writing?
My first thing I would have to say is just, you're not too good for anything. You're not. Like, leave the ego at the door, let it shrivel up and die on the vine and get flicked away by like, someone's shoulder as they pass by it, towards the manor at night. It for an artist, especially nowadays, it really doesn't behoove you to have any. You have to have self-esteem and you have to have self-belief, but anything that comes your way, anything that pops in your head, you should do. There's no idea that's too small. There's no creator to work with or to answer that's too small. Like, it's, to me, one of the things that I had to learn to do was to digest the fact that it might not happen, or it might take forever to happen, and that success
Right.
isn't overnight, no matter how good you think you are. So I think your expectation levels, I suppose, have to go in stride with, expectation levels, and the ego have to really, you know, genuflect at reality, like, and that's the big one for me. And the other thing for authors that I hear all the time, like, so I meet a lot of people, and they hear I'm an author, and everyone's got a great idea, like someone I know used to have, but no one has the time. And
Right.
then I would never tell someone, hey, why don't you take inventory about how often you do scroll or you do certain things. But the reality is, you do have time. You just have to have the heart, and you have to have the will, and the
Yeah.
soul to purge, and to care. It's about how much you care too, to tell that story.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, where's your favorite place to go for a stroll in Vancouver?
Hmm.
Do you have do you go to the park? Do you walk along the seashore? Like, what's your thing?
I have a route.
Yeah, okay.
So here's how my route is dictated. I live in the West End. So
Yeah,
I live, if you're familiar with the geography of Vancouver, I live at the top of the hill in the West End before it goes into Yale Town. Basically,
okay,
I live by the only gas station in downtown Vancouver. Right?
okay.
So my route is to walk down my street, which I won't say,
Yep.
but I walk down my street, and I know for a fact that about 500 meters, maybe a little more, not quite at the beach, there's a bench, and that bench receives like a perfect beam of light that you can read a book under, that orange light where it kind of makes everything fuzzy and soft.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I'm at this point in time, who knows, maybe the next time I see it, I smoke cigarettes. So when I read, I like to grab a coffee. It's, after 8, grab a soda water and then go down and read a little bit, smoke a couple darts. So I know that this bench is outdoors. I know it's well lit, and I know if someone's sitting there when I pass by, then I'm probably going to have to go for another walk around the block. But I do that, and then I come up another street, which is really, really quiet, but you can still kind of hear the water. No headphones, and that would be my my summertime walk. Because in the rain, like, you can't read because your book gets wet.
Right. Okay. Before I get to my next really big question, are you a dog ear guy? Or are you for or against dog earing pages?
Oh man, let him go, Snoopy. Sleep on.
Let him go, Snoopy. Is that what you said?
Just like, just let it sleep on the roof. You know what I mean? I use a bookmark. I use a bookmark, but I dog ear pages with bangers.
With what?
Like, with bangers, with like great quotes and with stuff that I want to come back to later. I rarely do. So there's a bunch of books that are just all like that, but no, like, I hope people dog ear the hell out of my books. I hope they tear pages out and like glue them on the wall.
Yeah, I like broken spines.
Yeah,
that's.
I definitely do the same thing. They need wheelchairs when I'm done. I like to just fold them and get in all kinds of positions.
Well, how else are you going to get all those words out?
Well, right? I just don't understand why you'd be, I mean, unless it's an antique, sure. I guess everything could be an antique someday.
Eventually, yeah.
But like, I prefer something lived in. Like, I don't, why am I going to take my Timberlands off and wash them after every time? No, let them get a little broken into. Let them get a little broken glass on.
Get some personality.
Yeah, exactly. Character.
Yeah. So you're on your walk.
Yeah.
It's a summer night. Maybe you don't know if your bench is filled with somebody else yet. The anticipation is just hanging there. You're hopeful, but you got a plan if it all goes to shit. As you're going for this walk, what is the one thing that sits in your brain as the thing that you just wish people knew? Like, just the one thing that you wish people knew in the world. That
everybody, like one thing I could tell everyone, like, hey, this is something, and
like pineapple goes on pizza could be deeper than that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
we're digging our own grave with the AI stuff, man. It's terrible. It does it because it's like, I just like, here's how I look at it. This is a thought I had. So I have other places I walk to. Also, I'm not a fan of the sun, so that's why I wait till dark. I'm not exactly bronze,
Gotcha.
But so I was walking the other day. I have a wintertime spot. It's outside of a cafe, and it's like there's an awning overhangs.
Yeah. All right.
And I was thinking the other day, like, okay, what worries me mostly is like that we really like easy answers. We really like, quick solutions to hard problems, right? Like, we're more than willing to accept, even though unlimited information is at your fingertips. It can either be corrupted, or someone's like, oh, it's a valuable source, like sold. Like, no one does their own investigation and research. Right. Which is why I think that if a trusted source, I'm doing the finger thing that I hate, tells us what's wrong with us, or gives us an answer that allows us to skirt taking on blame, we're more than willing to do it. It's someone else's fault. So and so said so. Boom. I'm this. I'm free of guilt. What worries me is like the way that it's done is just so affrontive. And one of the movies that, like, it's not one of my favorite movies, but one of the scenes that I always come back to is that everyone's seen it, like The Matrix, where people are in the pods. Yeah. I think that it would go from like, my parents' generation to be like, I'm not getting in a pod. What are you, stupid? To like ours being like, nah, like that's not right. And then the next one's being like, well, I guess it makes sense. Like, well, there's nothing much better to do. And like, I do need to kind of a battery to keep scrolling. And then the next ones it's just going to be like, well, yeah, there's no jobs. There's no this. I'm just going to hop right in. So I just wish that, like, I'm not call it's not like a Walden 2 Henry Thoreau Return to the State of Nature, let's all go fishing in Massachusetts kind of thing. But it's definitely kind of like, whoa, man, like slow down. We don't Optimization isn't good. That you only learn from errors and mistakes. So it's
Yes.
just like I guess it worries me about like because one of the things that my friends, everybody who I care about on a deep level has is defects and in that that makes them who they are and that they're not perfect but they're unique and weird and absurd human beings and that's why I love them. That's
Yeah,
why we smell each other through the harsh of winter. But I don't like the how everything's kind of becoming so homogenous, you know?
sure.
So it's
Yeah,
just one of those things. How are you supposed to find your own if you don't go out?
so true. Yeah, yeah. I love the freaks.
Well, the
Uh,
freaks make up the world.
yeah,
I mean, without them, like everything would just be like, what's that? Stepford Wiley kind
yeah,
of
right.
like, yeah, just
Or everybody mowing their lawn at the same time in the same direction, and
hello, Fred. Hello, Fred. Hello, Fred. You know what I mean?
totally. Yeah. Oh my god. What's the one thing that you want to do that you haven't done yet before you slough off this mortal coil?
Hmm. Oh, I don't know. I guess in all honesty, what keeps me going a lot of the days, because the anxiety and depression still is
Yeah,
a bear trap around my ankle.
yeah,
One of the things that keeps me going and gets me out of bed in the morning, aside from a mechanical routine, is the fact that I still have stories in my head that I want to write. And they're good ones to me. Like I mean, to me, they have to be good.
sure.
It depends. One day, I feel like a lot of artists share this, is like one day you're the shit and you're like you're the, you know, you're the head person in charge. And the next day you're the worst in the world and you don't deserve to live. And there's no middle ground where it's just like, I'm okay. Like I'm fine. Like, no, like I'm as moody as the rest of them.
Yeah,
But to me, there's like, I have stories. So I have a series. There's a first part of the series out and only one has been released, but I have written 8 of them and it's going to be 10. So I want to finish that. And then I have other ideas for big stories and smaller ideas for things that I feel. I don't feel like it's God's duty. It's not a mujahideen trying to get my ideas out. It's more just like I just it's fascinating, it's challenging, it's fun, it's the connective tissue between me and the world. And to sever that would be to watch the planet float away like a
mm,
leaf on a lake. So to me, it's that what keeps me going. It's the desire to create and to unburden myself of the jinn and the demons kind of that float around. Maybe one day I will be a normal boy. Who knows, right? Get my
maybe. Well, that sounds boring. I
it,
understand what you mean.
yeah, just like I know, help. I didn't say functioning member of society. I just want to be able to cut the strings and then go, run through a field with some wild horses.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. What's the weirdest thing you've ever done
Hmm.
that you'll talk about?
Hmm. Weirdest thing. Uh, I don't know. I feel like some of the things that I do on a daily basis, if I mention them to people, like, or, people who don't know me, they find that weird. What is the weirdest thing? I don't know. I don't really. It's kind of like, hmm, hmm. Shoot, I might have to come back to that. All
That's
right.
all right.
I'm
There
trying
will
to.
be a
Well, okay, it's not super weird, but
okay.
like it's something unique to me. I can't not finish a book. I can't not finish a book. I can't not finish a movie. I can't not finish a series of someone, like someone traces the blade across my neck.
Yeah.
I've read and watched some of the most terrible things that no person should ever have to suffer through because I refuse to abandon this because it's a sense of completion to me. I don't know what it is, but I'm reading a book right now and I'm trying to hustle through it as quick as possible. I thought it was going to be good. I've never read the author. It's a very famous author, but it's not a famous book. And it's so bad. After I have, I'm going to try and have 2 little reading sessions today just to try and speed it along because it's so awful. Yeah.
I loved you for that. That's awesome.
It's like, well, it's Henry Miller, right? So the author of Can't Stop and Cap. I don't know anything about him. I just know the name, and it's kind of a cool name. I've read Arthur Miller plays, so like, hey, why not another Miller? So this, I didn't realize like he was really popular a couple years ago for wrong reasons. Like I'm just kind of that's another thing. So what's weird about me is I don't follow the news. And I don't really, I don't. So like a friend of mine called me out on like, how can you be someone who's in the arts and not follow the news? And I said, well, because I want to live to be in the arts. And if I follow the news, I'd probably just, dip my feet in concrete and walk into the ocean.
Yeah.
So this book though, it says on the back as a sales piece, it's like uncovered, like I bought it in Edinburgh for £2, £2 they say. So like, I'm like, okay, so it's a collection of short stories that was hidden, and he was paid $1 a page by some gentleman. And yeah, why not? Like, this is the best book. You just grab something you've never read before. So the person who paid him for that book was a pornographer, and he wanted him to write the most depraved and filthy things that he could imagine. Fine by me, whatever. I have no problem with that. You want to go with any of the alities? Like, I got no issue with that. Like, who cares? Like, I'm a weird guy. And there's no story though. The book opens up with like something. I'll save your audience. If you want to go read it, go for it. It shouldn't be hard to find with a little Google search. But like, it's just, there's no story. And it's so like self-adulating. It's like, I always, it's funny. Like with guys, it's funny if you can like be self-deprecating sexually is hilarious. It's always going to be funny when you undersell yourself in like a comedic way.
Sure.
But boasting to the sun in a rocket with you. So like, that's all it is. It's basically like, I don't know. It almost seems, it's like a really well-spoken, like really eloquent, like high school student, just being like, yo, whoa, between like gnashing on gum with his hat backwards and a little tuft out the front.
Oh my God. All right. And you paint a compelling picture, sir.
It's my job.
All right. So there's these people in the world. We call them rebels in waiting. And, I like to think of them as people, maybe they're about to be a writer, maybe they've started writing, maybe they started like 1,000 words a day. I don't know. But what advice would you give to these rebels in waiting that, will help them on their journey, fulfill whatever it is that they need to fulfill?
I would say, part of me wants to say, look before you leap. And when I say look, I mean, really look inside yourself and make sure that you have the fortitude to deal with rejection and failure and loss and having your spaceship banged into by 1 million asteroids and setting you off course and not knowing where you are in the darkest space. But why bother looking? That's part of the fun of going into a jungle without a machete. Yeah. I think what might help them, what helps people, what helped me, is to, again, diminish the ego as much as possible and just love what you do. Just really it's hard to, these days, like there's no like patrons, like they're wearing like, goggles in their days where it's just like, you're talented, stay home, write, and like, here's bread.
Yeah.
We all have to work. We all have to make our bread, win it. And I think that you have to wear masks in this day and age, no matter what. You can't just walk out of the house in shabby, wares and, not expect to, contribute to society, at least in a way that keeps a roof over your head. But I think for me, at least, is when I let my passion, when I let writing, when I let storytelling and poetry, just fully take me over and drown me. I can it's not that you can breathe underwater, but it's that they say, like, before you die from drowning, you experience this moment of clarity. And it's like a very peaceful feeling where you just become totally agreeable and accept the situation at hand. And to me, when you let, what you're in love with, what you let, basically, like, put a hatchet in you and walk away, that feeling of clarity is achieved. That feeling of challenge and that feeling of, when I was in university, I was fine when I was in university. I didn't have to worry about the future. I just knew I was building towards something. And then when I was done, there's this, for me at least, there's like this bleakness that comes with it after a little bit. Like, okay, so I did this, and now what am I doing to get better? Like, I'm in the working world, like, it's scary. So you go back to school and you buy yourself some more time. To me, having a consistent, cycle of creation, and it kind of makes every season feel like you're trying to accomplish something or you're working towards something. And even if it's not monetary, and even if it's vain or not vain, or if it's something you want a legacy, or you want to change the world, or you want to communicate with people, or you want your voice to carry further than it could if you had a megaphone, it doesn't matter your reason. But if you keep the passion center, if you keep the art at the lead, of the flying V, then it'll, even if it leads you, off a cliff, you'll have, gone off that cliff for love, for a good reason. So just keep, and that's a good way to also test if you're ready for, like, the life of, again, all those ups and downs that come with being an artist. Because you might go into it a normal guy, like someone who went in, walked into Da Nang, being like, hello guys, I'm Fred. And you might never come out of the jungle. You might come back a completely different person, getting all Lieutenant Dan. So it depends.
Yeah. Great reference. Oh, Corey, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. Check out CoreyCroftAuthor.com, right? That's the place
right,
to go find stuff. And we'll put links to all the things down in the show notes. Corey, this has been a blast. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I feel like I was just motor mouthing, but, like, I appreciate having me on.
It's so good. I can't wait to re-listen to this again and again and again. And I'll get some of those other subtle references that you kept peppering in there. So I appreciate that.
I don't even know what they were.
Thanks for listening to the Rebel podcast, a show for creative rebels and entrepreneurs who think audaciously and act courageously in the service of making the world a better and more interesting place. Visit michaeldargie.com for more adventures, the rebelpodcast.com for every episode, and makemоrecreative.com to access all our cool tools. Until next time.